One of the things I admire most about St. Ignatius was his ability to find God in all things. He was not born this way. He was rather a swashbuckler type who went his own way and tried to be a man's man and whatnot. He wasn't sensitive to God's presence in all things. But after his getting knocked out during a battle at Pamplona and having to go through convalescence, God began to transform his soul, and he began to learn this ability to see God in all things. He writes in one of his letters to scholastics. Those are Jesuits who are not yet priests and are in formation. And he says, you need to find God in all things, and let me tell you how to do that. He's going to give them some wonderful hints that are practical for you and me. He says, considering the goal of our studies, the scholastics can hardly give themselves to prolonged meditations. See, they're studying all the time, so they don't have time to be given over to hours and hours of prayer. So they can't give themselves over to prolonged meditations. And many of you are like that. You have very busy lives, and you also can't give yourselves over to prolonged meditations with your raising of children and whatnot. Over and above the spiritual exercises assigned for their perfection, these are things that the scholastics have to do, which I added just because I think it's interesting, namely daily Mass. They had to go to an hour for vocal prayer every day, 2 examens of conscience, or examens, and weekly confession. They go to confession every week, and communion. Communion was not as frequent back then, so weekly communion was actually a lot back then. Now it's daily. They should practice the seeking of God's presence in all things. All right, so here he's saying, okay, now I want you all to you scholastics, and this is for you and me also, to seek God's presence in all things. In your conversations, in their walks, so they're going for walks, in all that they see, taste, hear, understand, and in all their actions. Everything that they're perceiving, to find God in those things, to seek God's presence in those things. Why? Because since His divine majesty is truly in all things, by His presence, power, and essence. It's a little mysterious here. It's very deep, and it would take a little prayer time for you to understand this. And for me, I'm still going deeper into it. What is it that God's majesty, God is in all things by His presence, His power, and His essence? What does that mean? Well, we can only learn that in prayer. I'll give you a hint, though. He does speak in other places about God sustaining everything in existence, God choosing to keep things in existence over and over again, saying yes to those things, to you and me, but to all creatures, all minerals, all rocks, all land, all animals, all plants. God is in all these things, and we need to reflect on God's presence in all things, keeping them alive, keeping them in existence, keeping all the planets and everything in perfect existence, the air, water. This kind of meditation, which finds God our Lord in all things, is easier than raising oneself to consideration of divine truths which are powerful, more abstract, and which demand something of an effort if we are to keep our attention on them. So he says it's easier, this kind of meditation, than a meditation on divine truths or on the commandments or on wisdom sayings, let's say, in the Bible, which take a certain amount of effort. And he said, I know you scholastics are tired from all your mind use during the day, so it would be good for you to really practice this, raising your minds to God and finding His presence, power, and essence in all things. This method is an excellent exercise to prepare us for great visitations of our Lord, even in prayers that are rather short. Okay, wow. St. Ignatius is giving us a key of how to develop deep intimacy with our Lord, to the point of great visitations where our Lord's going to visit you and me in powerful, unexpected ways. We have to become receptacles of that visitation and learn how to find His presence today in the ways He's already present. And then He's going to surprise us with other deeper visitations. Besides this, the scholastics can frequently offer to God our Lord their studies and the efforts they demand, seeing that they have undertaken them for His love to the sacrifice of their personal tastes, so that, to some extent at least, we may be of service to His divine majesty and of help to the souls for whom He died. We can also make these exercises the matter of our examen. So he's saying here, scholastics, and I would say to all of you, offer to God your work, your challenges, the efforts demanded of you every day. Why? Because you want to undertake them every day and renew your undertaking them for the sake, not for your personal tastes, but for our Lord, that you're doing them for our Lord. You're undertaking your obligations for our Lord, that you may be of service to our Lord and of help to the souls for whom he died, whom he loves so much. And then he says you can reflect on this during your examen, your once a day examen, reflecting on where God was present in your life. Reflect on how he has manifested himself to you through his presence, his power, and his essence. God bless you.